Travel chaos is hitting airports across the country. A cleaner was killed after showing up at the wrong house. Same-sex marriage under scrutiny. I'm Kat Pockris, and this is News Recap. Travel chaos is hitting airports across the country today. Hundreds of flights canceled or delayed as the FAA begins cutting operations at 40 major airports. The agency says the move is meant to ease pressure on air traffic controllers who've been working without pay for weeks now. Starting today, the number of flights is down about 4%, and that'll climb to 10% by next Friday if the shutdown drags on. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says reopening the government won't fix things right away. It'll take time for controllers to return and for flight schedules to recover. Major airlines like Delta and American are offering free changes or refunds, but travelers should still expect long lines and cancellations, especially heading into the busy Thanksgiving season. The death toll from the UPS cargo plane crash in Louisville has risen to 13, including 3 crew members. Officials say the number could still grow as the search continues and investigators work through the massive wreckage. The 13th victim died on November 6th at the local hospital. At least 9 people were killed on the ground, including a child. The scale of the damage is making it hard to identify victims, and search crews say it could take several days to go through all the debris. Earlier, 16 families reported loved ones missing. Investigators have recovered the plane's black boxes and are reviewing maintenance records, but finding the cause could take months. A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to release full November SNAP benefits by Friday, directing the USDA to tap emergency funds and surplus tariff money to make sure millions of Americans don't go hungry. The administration quickly went to an appeals court to block the order, saying it cannot use Section 32 funds for SNAP without Congress and that partial payments are already hard to manage. The judge disagreed, noting the government has used these funds before for programs like WIC and that Congress can handle any shortfalls. The appeals court wants responses from the plaintiffs also by Friday. Nearly 42 million Americans rely on SNAP, which has been paused since November 1st. In Indiana, a tragic mistake turned deadly. A 32-year-old woman working for a cleaning service was shot and killed after her crew went to the wrong house. Police say it happened early Wednesday morning in Whitestown, about 20 miles northwest of Indianapolis. Officers responded to reports of a home invasion and found the woman dead on the front porch. The shot was fired from inside the house. Investigators later learned the group wasn't breaking in. They were cleaners who had simply gone to the wrong address. The victim, Maria Perez de Velasquez, was a mother of 4. Police say they're still sorting out what happened and working with prosecutors to decide if the homeowner will face charges. An update is expected next week. More information has emerged about the death of Dallas Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Kneeland, who was only 24. He was found dead early Thursday from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Authorities say the night before, Kneeland was involved in a police chase in Frisco, Texas, after refusing to stop his car for a traffic violation. His vehicle later crashed on the Dallas Parkway and he fled on foot. Officers had received reports that Kneeland had expressed suicidal thoughts. A welfare check at his residence earlier that night made no contact. He was found at 1:31 a.m. and later confirmed dead. Kneeland has scored his first career touchdown just days earlier. Coaches, teammates, and former mentors remembered him as a talented and kind young man whose sudden passing has shaken the football community. Big news for anyone struggling with weight loss. President Trump just struck a deal with Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to slash the cost of popular drug Wegovy and Zepbound. Monthly prices could drop from over $1,000 to as little as $50 to $350. On Trump RX, cash buyers can grab them starting at $350, dropping to $250 in 2 years. New pills under review could be just $149 a month. Medicare will start covering these drugs for obesity in mid-2026, but only for people with certain health risks. Copays capped at $50. Medicaid can get in on the deal too, but each state has to opt in. The government also cut its own costs for diabetes-approved GLP-1 drugs to $245 a month, and the companies get 3 years of tariff relief. Experts say it's a big step, but these drugs are still pricey, and it's not totally clear just yet who will actually benefit. The Supreme Court is set to meet Friday behind closed doors, and one case could bring same-sex marriage back into the spotlight. Former Kentucky clerk Kim Davis made headlines when she refused to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples, citing her religious beliefs. She was eventually jailed for defying court orders and later fined $360,000 in damages and legal fees to a couple she turned away. Her lawyers now want the court to overturn the 2015 ruling that legalized same-sex marriage nationwide. If the justices agree to hear the case, it could reopen the debate over marriage equality, something that has been settled for years, but remains politically and socially charged. It's considered a long shot, but the court could announce as soon as Monday whether it will take the case. Same-sex marriage isn't the only LGBTQ plus issue in the spotlight right now. The Supreme Court just gave the Trump administration another win, allowing a policy that blocks transgender and non-binary people from choosing passport markers that match their gender identity. The decision pauses a lower court order that had required the government to let people select male, female, or X on their passports while a lawsuit over the rule plays out. The administration says the president has the authority to set rules for government documents. Critics warn that the policy could put transgender people at risk. An explosion at a chemical plant in Mississippi forced nearby residents to evacuate earlier this week. The blast at CF Industries north of Yazoo City caused an ammonia leak. Emergency crews responded, and so far no one has been hurt. All workers on site are safe. A large yellow plume of smoke was seen rising from the plant, which also has nitric acid facilities. Part of U.S. Route 49E was temporarily closed while air quality was monitored. Residents reported a loud boom and strong ammonia smell, one local said. The house shook and his family evacuated to Jackson. Anhydrous ammonia is used in fertilizer but can burn skin in gas or liquid form. Officials say monitoring will continue until it's safe. Congress has formally asked Prince Andrew to sit for an interview about what he knows regarding Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Lawmakers want answers about Andrew's connections to Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. They're trying to figure out what he knew about the victims and whether he was involved.
Based on what victims like Virginia Giuffre have said, it seems very clear that Andrew knew what Jeffrey Epstein was doing and what was involved, and may have been involved himself, but we just want to know what he knows.
Andrew was stripped of his royal titles he held since birth and evicted from Royal Lodge. He denies any involvement in the abuse. Police in Austin, Texas, rescued a woman who had been held captive for months. Officers responded to a call about a woman in distress. When they arrived, the woman was found outside the home, handcuffed to exercise equipment with visible injuries from prolonged restraint. She told officers she had not been allowed to leave. Heavy metal links were cut to free her, and she was taken to a local hospital. Her condition is unknown. 5 adults at the home were arrested and faced charges including kidnapping and assault. Police say multiple adults were involved in restraining and assaulting the victim over several months. 3 children were also found in the home and placed in protective care. Jury in Texas sentenced 19-year-old Luke Rassiker to 65 years in prison for a head-on crash that killed 6 members of a Georgia family in December 2023. Authorities said Rassiker was driving under the influence of marijuana when he crossed the center line and hit a minivan. 2 children and 4 adults died. The only survivor from the minivan lost his entire family in the crash and was left paralyzed from waist down. Rassiker's passenger, who was only 17 at the time, suffered a severe brain injury that left him mentally impaired. Police found THC, a vape pen, and marijuana wax in his truck. Prosecutors stressed the tragedy's impact on the victims and their community. A Virginia jury has awarded $10 million to former first-grade teacher Abigail Zwerner after she was shot by a 6-year-old student in January 2023. The jury found Ebony Parker, former vice principal, liable for failing to act on repeated warnings that the child had a gun. Zwerner sued Parker for gross negligence, claiming the administrator ignored multiple alerts from staff about the boy's behavior and his weapon. The jury deliberated for over 5 hours before ruling in Zwerner's favor. She had sought $40 million. Zwerner still carries a bullet fragment in her body from the attack. Parker's defense argued the shooting was unforeseeable and that other staff also failed to act. Parker faces criminal child neglect charges related to the incident and is set for trial next month. She has pleaded not guilty. Tesla CEO Elon Musk has won shareholder approval for a pay plan that could make him the world's first trillionaire. Over 75% of voters backed the plan at company's annual meeting. The plan ties Musk's pay to big goals, growing Tesla's value, delivering 20 million cars, and making 1 million robots. It also increases his ownership stake from 13% to nearly 30%. Despite criticism from big investors, supporters say it keeps Musk focused on Tesla's future, including self-driving cars, AI, and robotics. Shareholders also approved investing in Musk's AI startup, xAI. The last of several monkeys that escaped after a truck overturned in Mississippi has been captured. The animal was spotted by a local resident near Vosburg and safely recovered. The truck carrying 21 monkeys to a licensed research facility overturned on October 28th. 5 monkeys died in the crash, and 2 others were later shot by residents who feared for their safety. Officers described a chaotic scene as monkeys ran across the highway, some toward passing cars. The transport company said all monkeys were legally headed to a research lab and carried no known diseases. 13 of the monkeys that survived the crash have already reached their destination. And that is all for now. The top stories of the day, no fluff and straight to the point. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment. I'm Kat Pokras. See you next time.